I'm joined right now by Bill Repko, the Senior Advisor and Co-Founder of Restructuring and Debt Advisory Group, Evercore Partners. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm great. There's been a lot of debate today among a lot of folks who are here about restructuring and the playbook and how much to stay inside the playbook and the changing strategies. Could you weigh in on that for us?
Sure. First of all, the playbook is most often the term used to refer to the process. How do you get things done? Presented with a big problem, how do you reach a solution? And the criticism and the part of the debate was that there are a lot of people who are too mired in a playbook, and so there's an absence of creativity, basically, in order to achieve a solution. And underlying that criticism is the theory that if you add a little creativity and you avoid just a rote playbook, you'll get a better result for everybody in the case. And I think that's true, notwithstanding the fact that I believe playbook is a great idea in some circumstances, and we can talk a little bit about what those are. But adding a dimension of creativity and entrepreneurship to the restructuring profession is what the argument is. And I don't know anybody that disputes the fact that adding creativity is a value additive element of our profession. And so that's an easy part of the debate to solve. The other side of the equation, and how you prosecute a case that's very complicated, is a bit more reliant on a process or using the playbook. So, for example, a case that we're involved in, 5 different lending syndicates, 3 in Europe, 2 in Asia, with different sets of collateral, with different values. A group of bondholders, working capital creditors, a government agency or 2. How do you manage all that? All the people have differing interests. They're all extremely concerned about the outcome. And unless you can impose some discipline on them, then you're liable to lose control and you'll get a worse result. And that doesn't mean you don't bring creativity and financial engineering that works. We have lawyers in 3 different jurisdictions, and they all have to work together. So if I can't have a disciplined process, the phone calls are going to happen at 8 o'clock, whether you like it or not, then we're going to lose a lot of value, and it'll then be chaos.
How has the idea of using a playbook evolved over the years, especially in light of our current economic situation?
Well, I think playbook, success breeds success. So if certain techniques were used in a case in 1990, they probably worked in 1995 or even maybe 1998. They don't necessarily work in 2012. So it evolves, and the restructuring business is a living, breathing entity filled with a lot of creative people, and so, but ultimately we're all copycats. So if we find something that works, we're gonna see if it works in our case. Occasionally you have to invent new ideas and new techniques and be creative, or sometimes something doesn't work and you have to go back and start again. But it's an evolving process, and that's where it comes from.
Okay, so is there ever a case when a playbook really isn't necessary? There's not that much strategy involved, or is it always a good idea just to have some kind of a guideline like that?
Well, there are certain things you have to do.
Right.
You have to have a financial model that works. You have to understand, what the legal agreements work, or how the legal agreements work. What are the prospects for the business as an operating entity? Can management, run that business and make money doing it? So those are pretty basic things. But then you get into, how do you hold a meeting? Where do you hold meetings? Who attends the meetings? Does the lending group get to have their own, coordinating committee, for example? So those are there's a lot of different aspects.
What changes do you see in 2013? You know, do you see any big changes coming anytime soon?
No, I mean, I think it's evolutionary, not revolutionary. I mean, it works pretty well. I mean, you know, bankruptcy to me in the United States is one of those businesses that I think results in the level of entrepreneurship we have. You can take a business and it can fail, and you're going to get another chance. Maybe even with that business. That's what bankruptcy allows. And so the absence of a fear of failure to an entrepreneur, I think, is a key measure of success and why our bankruptcy code works as well as it does.
And you've been so successful. Can you talk about a case or two in which, you know, your strategy really made all of this work?
I joked today, it wasn't so much my strategy. Someone suggested on our panel that, you know, GM didn't follow a playbook. And I, of course, said, no, it absolutely followed a playbook. Even you only saw the last 39 days of it, but it sort of was the old saw about how you go bankrupt, you know, slowly and gradually and then very suddenly. So, you know, that was a very organized effort by an awful lot of people who, you know, made something happen that might have taken 18 months, but couldn't, because no one would have believed that GM could survive for 18 months, and it lasted 39 days, and obviously very successful.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you.
My pleasure.
Pleasure to talk to you once again. You look so dapper.
Thank you.